Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tank Observers podcast. My name is Jackson McCarty, always joined by my co-host Chris Spar. And Chris, what are we doing today?
Today, we are going to basically be valuing quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and linemen, and choosing which player we would like out of which round and who has the best value.
Yeah, we're taking somebody in a early round situation, somebody in a middle round situation, somebody in a late round, trying to evaluate which one you're getting the most bang for your buck, kind of as Topher said. Only going to do the offensive side of the ball. Next episode, we'll do the defense. But let's just go ahead and launch into it. First overall, got to go with quarterback. We're looking at either Kyle Trask in the first, Tanner Morgan in the third, or Zach Thomas in the fifth. Topher, take it away.
I'm taking Trask here. He, out of the three of them, he has the most franchise quarterback potential easily. He's got the size, he's got the arm. He's looking outstanding this season. You know, Morgan doesn't really. I have really nothing to say about him. He doesn't interest me.
He doesn't do it for you.
He doesn't do it for me. So it really came down to, is it going to be Zach Thomas or is it going to be Kyle Trask? And Trask in the first round, it makes sense. It's not like he's not going to be going in the first. It's not like this is a situation where you're thinking, is he even worth the first? He is. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the first 16 picks. But obviously, I had to look at it. But he was an easy choice for me. I put a little bit of thought into this, but I was like, Trask with the first. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Kyle Trask is absolutely a great football player, and then one that should go in the top 32 in this class. But it's been long heralded for me that Zach Thomas is this year's Gardner Minshew. And with a similar value, obviously he's listed as a sixth-round pick right now, I would take Zach Thomas because he's versatile. He can run and pass, something that is becoming increasingly more required as the league ages. And the upside that he offers with the efficiency that he already has really impresses me. Inside the Sun Belt, you don't typically get a lot of NFL caliber players, but Zach Thomas feels like one to me. In simplest terms. No offense to Tanner Morgan. I'm sure you'll be a decent enough player in the league. You just don't fall into my category here.
Yeah, I don't particularly see it.
Just not.
He's not my guy.
He's a mundane fellow here.
Very vanilla.
Number 2, going to running backs. We got Najee Harris in the first, Puka Williams in the fourth, or Raheem Boyd for all you Last Chance U and or Arkansas fans in the seventh. I'll go ahead and take this one first. I really, really, really enjoy Puka Williams. For one, he's fast and he's durable. He's got a bit of strength to him. So you might need somebody for the pass catching side of the ball. I've personally compared him to LaShawn McCoy. I think he's a similar type player where you would benefit from having somebody a bit more receivy in the background, if you will.
Sproly.
But exactly, yeah. If he gets a Darren Sproles, he'd be a top running back in the league. And Puka Williams, whenever he has faced steeper competition, he has risen to it. Even though his talent level around him, his offensive line is not awesome comparatively to the defenses that he would be facing, he's still a very solid player at worst. So I like him more, and I'm not big on some of these skill positional guys early on because I think you really need to hit on the meat and potatoes, offensive line, in the trenches, cornerbacks. So running backs and receivers, they have a typically shorter lifespan anyways. So give me Puka Williams here, and I can build somebody else from the future early on.
I am also going with Puka, so there's not really much that I can say that he hasn't already, but I'll do my best.
Yeah. Wow.
So I just don't see Najee Harris as a first rounder. Very talented. I think he's one of the best running backs in the class, and if we were grading talent, he would probably get above Puka, at least as far as where you're getting picked, that he would fall earlier in the draft, which is why he's ranked as a first rounder here.
Yeah.
Raheem Boyd isn't someone that I've looked into much, and take him in the seventh. You don't often see the guys that come out of the seventh.
Yeah.
But Puka in the fourth, I would be picking Puka if it was Puka in the third. I love Puka.
Yeah.
Name value alone. Once you get into what type of player he is, Shady is a great comparison. And yes, you will likely need a pass catcher with him. He didn't do a lot of it while he was in school, but Puka coming into the NFL, I'm really excited for. I hope that he gets put in a position where he can start taking carries in his rookie season because I want to see him right away. He is going to be a very, very good player, and he is my pick here for my value. I think he's awesome.
A rare agreement in our videos where we have exactly the same thought process going into it. So that's fun. Number 3, we're going wide receiver here. We're looking at Ja'Marr Chase, top 5 pick. Chris Olave, second round, or Rico Busi Jr. in the 5th. Topher, you want to go ahead and kick this one off?
Yeah, I don't see why not. So Chris Olave in the second is definitely my pick, and I like Rico Busi Jr. He is good, but he is not Chris Olave. And even taking him in the 5th, I don't think you'd be getting the same caliber of talent as you would getting Chris Olave in the 2nd. I think Chris Olave has a really good shot at being the Juju Smith-Schuster of this draft class, that second-round superstar. Although we'd like to see more of that second-round superstar
Since a new second-round superstar, Chase Claypool, is kind of...
Yes, he's kind of stealing the show, and poor little Juju in the slot is not getting his stardom anymore. But I think that Olave could be a breakout star in the second round. And now we come to Ja'Marr Chase in top 5. Ja'Marr Chase is really gifted, but I'm not taking him here. And I would like to maybe top 10 or top 16. I would be picking him. Top 5, I'd rather have Olave in the second round and like Penei Sewell at my left tackle. I'd rather that. It makes more sense to me. Or take Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields in that top 5, and now you have him throwing to Chris Olave.
Yeah.
It's just how I'm seeing it. Ja'Marr Chase isn't that top 5 guy to me.
Kind of a Burrow and Higgins ordeal.
Yes, absolutely.
So what I'm looking at here, if you tuned into the buy or sell wide receiver or pass catchers edition, I was not huge on Ja'Marr Chase. I think Rondale Moore is a better receiver than him. I definitely would not spend a top 5 pick on Ja'Marr Chase. I'm sure he'll work out just fine. He's just not my cup of tea. Chris Olave, very talented player like you mentioned, but again, touching a little bit back, as I said earlier, not crazy on spending a lot of draft capital on the guys who typically don't hang around as long. So I can grab who I think is the most well-balanced receiver on this entire list that has just lacked a bit of consistency moving from Nebraska to North Texas to now Hawaii. But once he gets settled down and really comfortable with the scheme, I think it ended up being one of the better players in this class. And that is, of course, Rico Busi Jr. As I mentioned, very versatile, can do any role that you want to fill. So if this is a team where you're just grabbing players that you need for the future, it doesn't matter if you get a new head coach in a year or two. He still works, I'm sure. He can go into the slot. He can go out wide. He can run the short routes, the intermediates, the long routes. So there's just nothing that he really can't do. And once he finds his footing, I believe that he'll take off. Moving from one group of pass catchers to the next, tight end time. This is the only one, I believe, where we have 2 first-round options, so they're a bit of a differentiation here. We've got Kyle Pitts, top 12, Pat Freiermuth, the mid-20s, and then Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State in the 3rd. Go ahead and take this one.
You know, I love me some Jeremy Ruckert.
You do.
But even though I actually have Jeremy Ruckert written here, I even have written easy value pick for Ruckert.
Yeah.
I'm changing my mind.
Ooh.
And while I do love Jeremy Ruckert, don't get me wrong.
Spicy.
Little Ohio State guy. I do like him. Yeah. And I think he's going to have great value in the 3rd round. And I like Freiermuth too, baby Gronk. Especially in the mid-20s. That's also going to be a great time to pick him. But I am going with Kyle Pitts in the top 12 because I am very confident that Kyle Pitts is going to become an absolute superstar that stomps the competition. I think he's such a matchup nightmare that I think a top 12 value, he could easily be a 1,000-yard tight end. I think he is really, really good. And I think taking him in the top 12, that I'm sold on that. I think that he is going to be a Shannon Sharp, Vernon Davis, just burner tight end, and he's going to red zone monster, 1,000 yards at some point in his career. I'm calling that now.
He definitely has the ceiling of a Shannon Sharp, but he also could end up being an Eric Ebron. Where
Don't say that.
I know, but I
Oh
don't.
man.
It's just something about his game. While I do very much respect it and I love what he brings to the table, it doesn't sit right with me. I'm a much more traditional style of football watcher and who I tend to enjoy. So Pat Fryermuth, going back to the buy or sell series, I mentioned that I like him more as a prospect, anyways, because he can block and he can catch. Something that I'm not sure we've seen a lot of from a blocking perspective from Kyle Pitts. But Fryermuth, once he gets to the league, I'm so ready to see what a team will do with him. If they're going to roll him in two tight end sets and let him kind of fluctuate with somebody, or if they're going to roll him as the solo dog and let him just do everything. So I prefer Pat Fryermuth's skill set. It goes back to my traditional sense. And it's easy. It's an easier pick for me, but I do really enjoy that Ruckert option because he deserves a bit more love than we're all giving him.
He certainly does, and you made it perfectly obvious that you like more traditional when you chose Jack Sanborn.
Jack Sanborn's a hoss, dude.
Yeah, he is a hoss that can't cover.
It doesn't look. If a safety can be there, if a corner blows their coverage like you mentioned, there are 2 to 3 other linebackers on any given play. Somebody else can cover.
3?
4-3 or 3-4. Either way. Moving from the tight ends down to the hosses. We're going to tackles. The hosses. Bring up the Southern there.
Thick boys.
Yeah, thick boys. We have Alex Leatherwood in the first round. We've got Jackson Carman in the second, or we have Walker Little in the fourth. Topher.
I chose Alex Leatherwood as my second offensive tackle in this draft class.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it should be surprising when I pick him as my decision here, Alex Leatherwood in the first round. It is no surprise to me. If he falls to wherever the Vikings end up, I hope we draft him. And I hope we take him in the first round, and I'd be surprised if he makes it to where the Vikings wind up, based on at least how they're playing now. I'd think it'd easily be a top 10 pick. But with Jackson Carman, talented player, I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out. I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out of the second round and ended up being a third round pick, and that value is even crazier than having him in the second. But second round tackles like Greg Little, they don't always get so much action. No. Usually it's veteran tackles that get signed out of free agency. But, young tackles have to come from somewhere.
Yes.
But and then Walker Little, who is very good, and I discussed him as being so not impressed with him. So, I'd like to pick him here, but I'm just not that impressed. I don't think he is that talented to be saying I'd rather have him in the fourth over Alex Leatherwood in the first.
And that's completely understandable, but I personally believe from what we've seen from Walker Little's tape, had he not suffered his injury, he would have been a candidate for Leatherwood's spot. And I'm not even sure I would have taken him if Dylan Radunes would have been the OT in the first, because as I've mentioned a couple times, I am really enamored with his tape. But Walker Little, if he can work through the kinks with the injury and he can get back to it, he's quick, he's versatile, he's very responsive to the second move, he can play both schemes, run and pass. There's not a whole lot that's missing from his tape other than when the shorter guys are on him, sometimes he gets a bit of trouble. It's like whenever Mike Tyson would box, he would get underneath his taller opponents and just destroy them from the inside because they couldn't do anything. He has a bit of the mentality of Mike Tyson's opponents. He lets them get underneath him a bit and he gets trapped.
Mm.
But if he can work that out and use that length to swat these guys away.
Swat them.
Yeah, well, basically. I mean, whenever it's smaller edge rushers, they might as well just be swatting at them. But if he can figure that out, I think he might end up being the best tackle on that selection board overall. Now sliding a bit inside, going to the interior, we have Wyatt Davis, first round. We have Deontay Brown, third round. We have Cade Mays in the fifth round. What do you think?
I liked all of these guys. I had a really hard time picking because Cade Mays in the fifth is nuts. I think anyone who gets Cade Mays in the fifth is going to be a very happy team.
Very.
Deontay Brown in the third. Very, very good value since he's probably a second-round talent.
Yeah.
He's a very good run blocking guard. Struggles a little bit in the pass blocking, but that's what centers are for. There's always someone to bail you out. And he's also really good because of how strong he is. He is a great person to double edge rushers with. If you pop him out and have him help out with the right tackle, he could completely immobilize stronger edge rushers. I didn't choose any of those two. I chose Wyatt Davis, another first rounder, and I really like these first round talents because if you take these guys in the first round, then you don't need to take these guys in the later round. And I know it's about value, but he's absolutely a first round talent. Yes. Wyatt Davis is better than the other two people on the board, and that's just how it is. He is a more well-rounded. He can run block and pass block. He is strong, and he can also move. His lateral movement's very good, and he's great at getting low and under defensive tackles.
Yes.
He is the full package, and if you get him in the first round, you don't need to worry about it because this guy's he's coming into the NFL ready to just be one of the better guards in the league.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I do not see a reason to worry about these other two players because taking Wyatt Davis in the first round is going to solve any offensive line issues that you might have.
I am on record saying that I really enjoy Wyatt Davis. I put him as a top 12 talent on my board, I believe. But here's the thing. As I mentioned in that video, positional value and player talent is not equivalent. It's not. As much as I love Wyatt Davis as a player, a first-round pick on an interior lineman, unless you are a almost complete team, is hard for me to stomach. I get tackles a bit more because they are more – the game is evolving for passing. The interior of your line is more for running.
Aaron Donald.
I understand. I completely understand. I, as a Washington fan, had to watch Wes Martin get a 0.2 grade on PFF or whatever it was because of Aaron Donald himself. But
Grady Jarrett.
Deontay Brown still answers the issue here. He, period, point blank, I don't know that I've seen more than one or two people get him off balance, let alone move him out of their way. He's just such a physically, like he's the immovable object in the old saying. He is the movable object. Whenever he's run blocking, as Alabama has definitely taught him how to do, he looks like one of the better ones in this class. Obviously, as you mentioned, bit of a struggler on pass blocking, but that can be developed. Just get with an O-lines coach. Does Jim Tomsula have a job anymore? Because if he does, he was...
Comment yes or no.
Because if he does... Wait, he was a D-lines coach. What am I saying?
I have no idea.
That was my mistake. Either way, if he can get with a great offensive lines coach and get with somebody who can teach him the ins and outs of the pass game, I think that he would be a very, very valuable pick right there.
Then let's hope that the Giants don't get a hold of him.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't even want to see that because they're in my division. But, yeah, no, definitely not for them. But, yeah, that wraps up this episode. Next time you can expect to see this, but on the other side of the line.
Defense.
Easy enough. As always, my name's Jackson McCarty.
And I'm Dr. J.
See you guys next time.
Is he the best player in this draft on his own? Without a doubt.